All right, this is a video I'm putting together because all my buddies, my friends put a video together for my 50th birthday, which I thought was very special. So I'm going to do a video about all of you guys, and hopefully this is something that we can all do because I really enjoyed seeing all of you in the video and your mostly kind words. So I'm going to start with the twins, Tom and Dan Frederick. And a lot of times back when we were in college, you either called them the twins or you called them Tom or Dan because I never knew which one was which. Now it's a lot easier to tell who's who because one of you is obviously still good looking and very successful. So very easy to tell you two apart. I do want to clarify on the car ride back from Lincoln. Yes, you did just about kill us both. But if you recall, when the wheel was shaking, I told you that I think it would be a good idea to put our seatbelts on. And we put our seatbelts on, and thank God that we lived. To describe, I want to describe both of you two as two of the most unselfish people that I've ever met, whether it was flag football or basketball. You know, basketball, you guys are always passing the ball, always setting picks, always rebounding, doing all the little things. In the flag football, you always eager to, rush the quarterback or play some corner. I do remember one flag football story where I don't know if Dave was quarterback and he pitched the ball to me, or I was quarterback and I was running in the wide open towards a touchdown, or if it was an interception and I was running towards a touchdown in the wide open field. And I don't remember, one of you guys was behind me off to the side and you were just screaming, pitch it, pitch it. So I pitched the ball to you so you could go in and score the touchdown. Another time, and I believe this was in the playoffs, one of you had kind of important part of the game, had an interception that was really important. I remember going back to our dorm room. This was Shane, Dave, and my dorm room, the dorm room, because everybody came over to our dorm room because we had the big corner dorm. And we were so happy. I remember a couple of us decided to pick you up and take you into the showers. And I think we might have thrown you in the shower or thrown you in the bathtub. I can't even remember which one. But both of you two, just true friends. Okay, next person had the coolest long hair. Girls just loved his hair. I think he was actually even, I don't remember if he was voted best ass or best hair or best body or something at senior night. Leather jacket, even made smoking a cigarette look cool. Obviously this is Matt Hughes. Matt had a little bit of a temper. I remember one time driving away, I think it was the old movie theater on 120th and Q Street, Yellow Cavalier again. Matt jumps on the back. Matt's in the back outside the vehicle. We're driving away. Matt jumps on the back, slams under the back window, breaks my entire back rear windshield. I remember another time, I think it was the same movie theater. Matt locked his keys in his van, and Matt, punched the back of the van window so he could get in the van. Matt always had a problem actually losing his keys. I remember Matt, Shane, and I went to Hawaii, visited, stayed with Matt's grandparents. Really nice trip. I remember Matt was always in charge of the keys, and we left the beach, and Matt said, "Oh my gosh, I don't have the keys. I lost the keys." And we're like, "They're somewhere on the beach. My God, how are we going to find the keys?" And we actually went back and actually found them. Matt, you live out in Denver now. I just think it's the perfect, just being out there in nature. Matt, I always thought actually Matt was one of the most athletic guys that I knew. I remember there was a rope swing kind of in the Millard area over this creek. And I remember one time I watched Matt swing out over this creek, and I swear I think you went out with the rope over the river, let go, or creek, and you did a flip and landed in the water. Just always willing to do anything. Being out in Denver, I think it's just perfect for you out there with all the nature out there in the mountains, and you get to ski with the boys. You and Kathy have such a wonderful big family, and it's always nice visiting with you. Don't get to see you enough. Um, but Matt, you've always been a great friend. Uh, two people that I really don't get to see at all anymore from high school, Jason Westerhold and Todd Galloway. Jason was the other guy that had the long hair. Learned how to play the drums on his own. I always thought that was super cool. Jason was very artistic. Um, the Is it called an El Camino that he drove, silver and black, I think maybe. Um, uh, but it's great uh, having Jason as a friend. Todd Galloway. We hung out a lot with Todd in high school. Todd, truthfully, Todd is the smartest guy probably out of all of us. And it's not just because he thought he was; it's because he probably was. Um, I still remember for one day, one test, there was a national math exam at the high school. We're all in the cafeteria and took it. And when he got the results, I remember that I want to see how I placed. And I looked for two names. I looked for my name and I looked for Todd Galloway's name. And my name was third, and Todd's was not first or second. And I still will remember that. It's just a little, for one day, I was smarter than Todd Galloway. But Todd, it was always fun growing up with you. Parties at your parents' house in the basement. Um, a lot of fun. The next person I want to describe is this guy. Probably still to this day, I believe, still wears the tightest jeans. Uh, Loves Texas for some stupid reason, and went by the self-proclaimed name of NBA because he thought he was and still is a natural-born athlete. Um, the first day of high school, you walk into homeroom, and there was a second gymnasium up at the top of Millard South for basketball. And I walk in there, and I see all these girls, probably 20 girls. I look over onto the corner, and it was like a high jump mat, and sitting over there was Troy Marshall. And I'd say that Troy and I were the only two guys in homeroom together. There's one other guy that was a couple years older, but we never really talked to him. His name might have been Nick, but I really don't remember. But I remember in this homeroom class were the Olsen twins, um, some other drill team, dance team girls, uh, Michelle Hansen, I think. Just a lot of really pretty girls. And we kind of looked at each other and we were like, this is kind of strange. But it was a cool 4 years. Troy, enjoy golfing with you now. Uh, Love your smart ass attitude, and I've never seen you really pissed off or upset, but I'm glad we get to spend a lot more time together now. Next person I'll describe, uh, this guy was Mr. GQ. He was good looking, well dressed, wore good clothes, nice clothes, um, smart. Always thought he was faster than I was, but I'm still not sure about that. But I guess there's no way to go back and check. But this would be Chris Winook. And the thing that I loved about Chris, or still love about Chris, is he always wants to compete, always wants to win. If there's somebody on your team that you want to have, it's always Chris, because he's going to give it his best because he wants to win as bad as I do. Um, I remember in high school, Chris and his group of friends, I think it was like a Keith White, some other guys, so Troy Upton, Mark Rayer, you guys always had that big plastic bottle of vodka Um, God, I hated hanging out with you guys and having to drink that shit because that's really what it was shit. But I don't know if Chris, your older brother, was the one who always bought it for you or what. But you guys drank a lot of vodka in high school. Um, I remember softball. You were probably one of the most complete players. I do remember one time you and Esty got into it because I don't know who was playing catch or something, and Esty might have thrown a ball at you, or you threw a ball at Esty, and then Esty tried throwing a ball at you and hitting you, and you tried throwing a ball at Sean, and he couldn't catch it, or I don't know. It was just funny. I think it was in a Fremont tournament. I do remember another time where you were like 0 for 20, 0 for 5 games or something like that. And I can't remember if you hit third, fourth, or fifth. And I remember doing the lineup. I think we moved you down to like seventh or eighth. Even though you were hitting line drives, you're always hitting them at people. And you were seriously like 0 for the last 4 or 5 games. And you were so pissed off that you got moved down the lineup. And I don't remember, but you probably had 3 hits that game and went back to your normal position. Um, Next person I'm going to describe. If I said this guy only eats skinless grilled chicken breasts, has 3% body fat, and can squeeze 6 cents out of a nickel. You all know I'm talking about Marc Rayer. Mark, you and Carrie are always a joy to be around. Wish we got to see more of you. The story about spring break, you know, the other story I remember is you and Livingston getting into it, and I think somebody threw a grape at the other person, and then somebody put a nice big dent in the wall because they got thrown into it. I can't remember if Mark was throwing you or you threw Livingston, but that and the famous Beat It story, I am sorry about that, but I do not regret it because the next 2 or 3 nights were very enjoyable. Next person I'll describe is came up with a new pronunciation, I guess, of it's not Suwak City, it's Sioux City. And about 15 years ago, when one of my girls was young, we pulled up next to a truck and she was looking at it and she goes, "Dad, what is Suwak City?" And I laughed my ass off because I had not heard that since you asked that question about how many miles away we were from Suwak City as we were going up to Yankton and James's boat. But it was hilarious. Another story I remember is playing poker in my old house in the basement, and you and Savoy getting into it. And it was all about what an IPO was. Mark, you said you knew what an IPO was, and Savoy just kept pushing you on it because he didn't think you knew what it was. And, truthfully, Savoy was being a dickhead. He would even say he was being a dickhead. But you guys were threatening to go outside and do whatever you were going to do. But meanwhile, I'm sitting there, and I'm just a dumb construction guy, and I'm wondering, I don't know what an IPO is. Well, one of you dumb fucks just tell me what an IPO is, but neither one of you ever did say it, I don't think. In case any of you are wondering, initial public offering, Shane, in case you forgot, you should probably know what that is, but that's what an IPO is. Mark, you're always lifting weights. You got huge in college and after college. Strong guy. Always fun to be around. Loved playing cards with you. We finally stopped you from bringing your jar of nickels and dimes and quarters. So I'm glad you grew out of that. And I hope to see you soon, buddy, so we can go golfing. Next person, I guess, 3 words. 3 words to describe this next person. Golden boy. Golden boy. You should have guessed that's Mike Lortz. Mike, you were always so generous when we were growing up in high school and college. Your parents were always so generous, always inviting us to Woodcliff, the sand volleyball tournaments out there. I think we finished second, maybe 3 years in a row, or second or third 3 or 4 years in a row. Always lost to either the Taylors or somebody else. I can never remember, but really enjoyed drinking beer with you out at the cabin. The volleyball games out there, just competing. That was you, Troy Marshall, Mark Livingston, Dave Rayer, and Shane Haig. I always liked lining up between either you and Marshall or you and Livingston because none of you three could jump very high. So if a ball was coming to the net, I felt like I got this. And I didn't have to compete with you guys. Where with Shane, if it was between Shane and I, Shane has these 7-foot long arms. He always had a good chance of beating me to the ball. And Dave, if I was next to Dave, well, shit, Dave would freaking bump into me, push me 5 feet out of the way, and then go half into the net, half trying to get the ball. I think that's where we started coming up with the nickname Jungle Ball Volleyball, because Dave lived in the net. He may not have been able to jump as high, but he was going to go through the net, go through you, do whatever he could to get the ball. But those were good times. I got a chance to work with Mike framing houses. I got a chance to work with Mike, with you, at Benchmark Homes for many years. Just enjoyed all the time that we spent together. Really love you and Kim. It seems like you have the little perfect family. Those 3 kids of yours, they look just like mini Mike and Kim, just mini Lortzes. Just so happy for your family. One last story that pops in my mind. I believe it was you, Mike, when we were freshmen playing poker in the dorm room. You had to run home and get your checkbook because you made a bet and you lost, and we made you run home and get your checkbook so you could pay us. That was always fun, playing poker in college as well. Next guy had the nickname, I think I called him T-Bone, still call him T-Bone, stick bag, pickup sticks. And that all comes from when we were in college. Yes, Brett Teakin hung around us, and Brett, I think you maybe weighed 120 pounds, probably with your clothes on and your shoes. You were always fun to be around. You're still fun to be around. You're still a great guy. I remember your 21st birthday, and you were doing your shots like we all do on our 21st birthday, and you were getting hammered, and we were in a bar, and you go to the bathroom, and you come out, and your shirt's halfway off, and you end up taking your shirt off, and you kind of yell at everybody, who wants to fight me? Who's going to fight me? I'm going to kick anybody's ass. I'll kick everybody's ass. And we're looking, Brett, I'm glad it was a Tuesday night because nobody else was in the bar. Otherwise, well, we don't know exactly what you would have done. But luckily we didn't get in a fight that night because you were spouting off that you were going to kick everybody's ass. But that was definitely a fun night. I do need to get my hat back from you. I've been playing a little bit of golf, and when you come back to Omaha, bring your clubs because I'm going to kick your ass and bring my hat back because you're going to be giving it back to me. Next guy, describe as, everybody should know who Nature Boy was. So Nature Boy Dave Rayer, because he was always tan, always had muscles, 6-pack. Dave, just like normal breathing, in between breaths, he'd get bigger and get another pack on a 6-pack or whatever. I remember one time down in Daytona, this was the famous spring break, Daytona to Clearwater. Dave and I are walking on the beach, and these girls are I think they were driving by actually, and he said, "Stop, can we get a picture?" So Dave and I stop, and we're in our swim trunks, got our suits on, and they say, "We want a picture of you." And so Dave and I kind of stand next to each other, and they say, "Actually, can we just get a picture of him?" They just wanted a picture of Dave. I actually had to step out of the picture, which I thought was really nice, but is what I was used to, being around Dave. Lived with Dave our freshman year, and then our last semester down in college. Um, Dave, we've spent a lot of time uh, golfing, playing basketball, playing flag football, softball. Softball actually wasn't your best sport, nowhere close, actually. You weren't a very good softball player, but good basketball player, good flag football player. I think we won a tournament in Council Bluffs, a flag football tournament. Played 3-on-3 together. Marshall's Law. You guys will all probably hear more about Marshall's Law because we had obviously Troy Marshall, Dave Rayer, Shane Haig, the big guy in the middle. I got a lot of rebounds and a lot of assists because I would pass the ball to Troy or Dave, and they would both shoot it, and I would just go rebound their misses. So when they made the shot, I got an assist. When they missed, I got a rebound. So I had a lot of assists and rebounds playing with those two guys. I don't know how the teams were divided up supposedly equally. I kind of remember like everybody got a big guy. So we got Shane, everybody got a shooter. I don't know that anybody knew that Marshall was as good as he was, but I probably sandbagged as I typically would always do and got on the good team. But man, we kicked everybody's ass. We were really good. Um, One of the biggest takeaways that, I take from Dave is being able to tell my friends that I love you, because I do love all you guys. Dave, um, unfortunately, early on, Dave was always drunk. And then you knew when he got really drunk, he was always hugging you and, you know, telling you how much he loved you, how much you meant to him. I love you, I love you. Well, Dave, we can all say that now without being drunk. I love all of you. But a lot of good times with Dave. Um, Actually, Dave and Brett Teakin in that spring break singing Summer Lovin' with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John was freaking hilarious. Dave sang the John Travolta part, and then when it came for Olivia Newton-John, Brett sang, and the whole freaking bar erupted with laughter. The next person I'll describe, and you should be able to figure out, is the nicest guy I know. The fastest guy at our school, called him Hobby, obviously James Hobensock. You were like my brother in high school. We were in track together. We were in football together. I remember always had your motorcycle. Spent a lot of time riding on the back of your bike. I always chose to ride on the back of your bike rather than ride with Sean Esty because Sean was just a freaking crazy driver, and I feared for my life when I drove with Sean. I felt safer on a bike going 100 miles an hour with you being in the controls. It was just really fun, to have you a part of just when I was playing football and the track. And that track story about my hairy legs, just for the record, when I stretched James in track, his legs, he would have like 6 hairs here, then a bunch of bare skin, and then 4 hairs over here, and then a big scar, which James, I'm not sure if you ever told your kids what that scar came from, but we all know how you got that scar. And then maybe 3 more hairs over here. So James had like 13 hairs on an entire leg. That's it. I remember when we first met Carrie in high school, and she came down to Todd Galloway's basement. And, we all thought, James, when you and Carrie ended up together, first of all, we all thought that Carrie was way out of your league, way above you, but she ended up talking her into staying with you somehow, whatever. But Carrie and James, Carrie've known you for a long time, consider you great friends. I wish we got to hang out more together. But those 3 girls of yours, James, you got beautiful daughters. But I'm glad I get to see the 2 of you. Wish I saw you more often, but just being here in Omaha, I'm glad I get to see you guys. Next person, I don't know that he ever had a true nickname, but I'll tell you that everybody loved him. Everybody wanted to hang out with him. He was always a cool guy, and he would do anything for you. Give the shirt off your back, or drive you home in his mom's car and let you throw up in the car because you didn't get the window quite open quick enough. The first time I met Pat Savoy was in eighth grade. I moved from Ralston to Millard Junior High, and I remember it was during football season, and a kid came up to me, so eighth grade football, and he came up to me and he reached up and he headbutted me in the forehead. And I've never seen anybody do this before. And he did it to me again. And yeah, it kind of hurt, but I didn't know what to do. Uh, Kind of a little dickhead at that time. I remember, I think it was Jeff Reddick. And Pat was kind of close by and he said, "Hey, knock it off. Stop doing that." Ever since then, I think we played on the same football team. I believe it was Clatterbucks, Corroded Cucumbers. We had green jerseys. But I always appreciated you standing by me back then, and you have ever since then, which has been about 36 years. Pat went to Burke High School. We all went to Miller South, but he still stayed close with us, still talked to us, still went out with us every weekend. I do remember in high school, Pat was a swimmer. Not everybody may know this story, but Pat had a swim meet at Ralston High School. Ralston is actually where I grew up, so I learned to swim in that pool at Ralston. So we're all in the stands, and Pat's getting up in his little swim bikini, or whatever you call it, Speedo, I guess. And it was a ready, set, and before the gun, Pat dives into the water. Oh, that false start, that kind of sucks. So Pat's getting out of the water. A couple other guys had jumped in. But then we kind of see Pat walking off, and we're like, what's going on? And we didn't realize that you didn't get a false start. If you false started, you were done. We also didn't know that was Pat's only event. So we all made a big deal about coming to Pat's swim event, and we never got to see him swim, which was too bad. Actually, I don't even think we could make fun of him because we felt so bad for him. Pat, I think the first 20 years that we golfed together, I'm pretty sure I only beat you one time. But as much as we've been golfing together now, I think I've beaten you a few more times, and every time we go out, I think there's a pretty good chance I might beat you. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident. I'm thankful for all the time, Pat, that we get to spend together, working together. We talk every week, if not every couple of days. But I'm thankful for that. The next person I'll describe as, this guy had allergies, really bad allergies to cats, chewed on his pillow a lot, really kind of gross. Had a dog that would slobber all over you. If you saw the dog starting to shake his head like this, you just got away, because slobber would be going left and right and all over the place. Had this "You'll Play" t-shirt that he liked to wear a lot. Of course, I'm talking about Shane Haig. And the guy was such a goober. And Shane, I'll tell you that I always looked up to you. We always got to, I can't remember if it was our junior and senior year, it seemed like we always went over to your parents' house, made a ham sandwich. I remember going down to WC's for lunch. All the times, when you worked at Taco John's, you're always working, always trying to, to make money to help pay for your college, and everything you did, to pay for your college, I respected from you. The Taco John's, all the times that you worked there. I remember we'd go back and make our own meals, which was awesome. I remember the game Renegade, I believe it was. Shane has a little bit of a temper. I remember him getting upset and punching the game and actually breaking the glass in the game. I remember Shane in your basement when your dad was finishing the basement. It was at the drywall stage, and I remember playing ping pong with you, and obviously I got the point because the next thing I remember is your ping pong paddle flying past my head and sticking in the drywall that your dad was doing right behind us. And I'm pretty sure your dad wasn't too happy about that. Um, one more story. I brought a prop with me. So Shane and I were going somewhere, and Shane had his allergies, and Shane had to blow his nose, and he was in the back of my car. This was the yellow Cavalier, and we didn't have anything to blow your nose. I go, Shane, there's a pair of shorts in the back. So there's a pair of red shorts, and they were workout shorts. I remember they were sweatpants. They were cut off. So Shane takes the shorts and blows his nose in them. Just blows his nose in them, and just gross. Imagine Shane blowing his nose. And he kind of just puts them back up there, and he goes, thanks, bud, for letting me use your shorts. Like, it's all right. They weren't my shorts. They were Estes. And it was fucking hilarious. And Sean is still pissed about that, but I don't know if Sean is more pissed the fact, Shane, that you blew your nose in his shorts, or the fact that we still think it's funny, because it was really funny, and it's still funny. So many college stories about Shane, whether it's the panty raid in the AKO house where running down the steps you tripped and fell and sprained your ankle, or the time you fell out of bed and you fell with your ribs on the weights and cracked a rib, I think. Or another favorite was one morning you woke up, I think we were out drinking, and you kind of looked down and you said, I'm wearing girls' underwear. And we thought, well, I don't remember Shane being with some girl last night. Well, Shane, whose underwear are you wearing? He goes, I have no idea. Shane was just wearing some girl's underwear, and he had no idea how he got them on or who they came from. The stories you guys told in my video, there's some of them about fighting, and I want to go back to the Dave Rayer story about the fight in the bar in O Street. For clarity, that was Shane who started that fight. And Dave got punched, Chris got punched, Pat got punched. I kind of got Shane out of there off to the side. I kind of ended up kind of wrestling with the guy. Shane never got punched. Shane never threw a punch. The guy who started it didn't have anything happen. But my kids were asking, Dad, did you fight a lot? I go, you know what? I never threw a punch. I never took a punch. I boxed once with Sean. I'll talk about that in a second. And, most of you know how that went, because that was freaking hilarious. Shane and I wrestled a few times. I was obviously not very good at understanding what the rules of engagement were when I wrestled Shane. Shane had these big, long arms. He was big, tall. I was trying to pin Shane. Shane was trying to choke me out. So it happened a couple times that we wrestled. Shane would get his big arms around my neck. Or I think one time, I remember, and it might have been in Matt Hughes' backyard, he actually got his legs around my neck one time, and basically I had to tap out because it was either that or pass out and die. But yeah, both times Shane kicked my ass to where I had to tap out. Shane, I was so happy, you got to meet your Southern Belle. The wedding that you had in New Orleans, that was pretty cool. Dion, you're awesome for Shane. I'm glad he's so happy down there. Shane, I wish I got to see you more often, but I do enjoy talking with you every once in a while. So, the last guy that I have, probably the most stubborn. You never want to get into an argument with him because he will never change his mind. It's virtually impossible. But he is one of the, if not the hardest workers I know. And I've known this guy for 37 years. Um, but it's Sean Esty. And Sean and I knew each other at Ralston Middle School in 7th grade. Weren't really friends. I remember the first day of 8th grade, walking down my driveway, yellow bus was picking me up, and I get on the bus, and sitting right there in the front seat behind the driver was Sean. And I looked at Sean, and Sean looked at me, and he said, "Hi, Mark." I said, "Hi, Sean." I went and I sat down, and I thought, fuck, am I going to see Sean for the rest of this year on the school bus? Well, it's been the best 37 years having you as a friend, Sean. Um, all the time that we spent, the whole carriage cleaners, softball team, everything that you did for us, that your dad did for us. It's just, both of you guys were so generous. You've been a wonderful friend. You always were the guy that you always worked so hard. You always wanted to start drinking early because you were, by 10 o'clock, you were usually done, falling asleep, passed out. A lot of times we didn't know which it was because you were just so tired. I'm glad that you met Kathy. I think Kathy and Sean, you two, I get to see you all the time. It's nice to see the two of you all the time. You're wonderful people. Sean, I probably talk to you about every day. A lot of times I talk to you when I'm going to work or taking Brady to school. I'd always enjoy calling Sean when Brady and I were going to school. I'd be taking Brady to school, and that won't happen anymore because Brady's driving now, but Sean always makes me laugh. We'll give each other shit. Brady just sits over in the passenger seat and just giggles and laughs at you, or laughs at me making fun of you or whatever. But Sean, thank you for your friendship for all these years. Having a group of friends like this is really, it's undescribable. And even the relationship that all of us have had with our parents, whether it's my parents always asking, how my friends are doing, just everybody's, parents, I feel like I could talk to, call. As we were growing up, we were all a big family. And the fact that our parents were part of it was freaking awesome. I want to thank all of you for putting the video together. I know this was long, but I think it's pretty cool to do something like this. I would like to request that each one of us does this so we can kind of stay connected and kind of relive some of our memories. So the next person that I want to put a video together, and we'll just go down the line, as you can just kind of nominate the next person. But the next person up is, I'm going to give it to Shane Haig. And we all know that Shane has a lot of stories because he was always in the middle of about everything. So love all you guys. Thank you for the video. And we'll see Shane's comments, Shane's video next. And one last thing. Sweet dog!